Could your dog be trying to tell you something? Here we'll discover some of the hidden signs of stress in dogs that we can easily overlook or miss because they aren't as easily recognised as a tremble or a heavy pant. So let's look at the first one. Dropping their coat, also known as stress shedding. This is a very misread and dismissed sign of stress or anxiety because of course dogs molt and drop their coat. However, molting is typically a few times a year, while other dogs continually molt throughout the year. It does depend on the breed. But what we're discussing here is different to these, but many don't recognise it as a stress response. Stress, such as a sudden change in routine or welcoming a new person into the home, can also cause excessive shedding. You may have noticed your dog shedding a lot during fireworks, thunderstorms, or even a trip to the vet. It doesn't need to be an immediate, dramatic dropping of the coat. Sometimes it can be over a much longer period of time when you may have just noticed there's more hair around than there used to be. You may have noticed an increase of hair in their bed over time, and there's suddenly more hair by the front door where they wait before going outside. Coat shedding can be noticed when people put collars or harnesses on, or even when you touch them or hug them. Stress shedding can be particularly noticeable during one-off events of stress, such as a visitor to the home or meeting a new dog. In these new situations, your dog can immediately drop their coat, and it is usually more noticeable than a gradual but steady increase of hair on their bed or their favourite spot in the sun to rest. There could be a greater amount of hair when you empty the vacuum cleaner or on the carpet in general. So coat shedding can be a way dogs tell us they're anxious or uncomfortable, but it is different to a dog's normal molt or the typical amounts they normally shed. Diarrhea. This is a tricky one to talk about because all diarrhea needs to be investigated by a veterinary professional. When diarrhea keeps recurring, many people change food or even look at allergies as a way to explain a sudden change in their dog's stool. Often lots of other reasons are thought of to explain watery or loose bowel movements, and these changes in bowel movements can go on for some time, which is another reason why people don't tend to think of it as coming from stress. Stress can also come from fun activities too. It isn't always from something unpleasant. Stress can be from both positive or negative stimuli. Dogs can often have diarrhea after or during a particularly stressful one-off event, such as hearing a car backfire, an altercation with another dog, a great time running around on a new beach, or even a door that suddenly slams shut due to the wind. Some people view stress as just a one-off stressful event, but dogs can have recurring stress in their lives, even if we struggle to see it, and that can result in long-term diarrhea that can last for weeks or even months. Stress colitis can develop in dogs, so always seek advice from a veterinary professional first. Pacing and unable to settle. Have you noticed your dog is moving around a little more than normal, or they just can't seem to settle as easily as they used to? Maybe you've noticed a slight increase in everyday activities. They seem to be moving around more than normal. There could be noticeable changes in their routine. Perhaps they want to go outside and come back in more often, or have started visiting their food bowl over and over. If you've noticed that your dog isn't resting as much and seems to be moving around more in the home, especially at a time they would normally be happy to just relax, a vet check is a good first step. If that is clear and you're still noticing this change, stress and anxiety can contribute to your dog's sudden pacing and inability to settle or get as comfortable as they used to. Hyperactivity. This is a little different to pacing, but can also be related. This energy is at a level where it is easily described as hyper, overexcited, over-aroused, or even manic. You may have noticed your dog's energy levels have suddenly increased to a level where there is now a lot more movement, or they are now engaging in high energy activities much more than they normally would. Hyperactive behaviours may include rushing up to other dogs and people, jumping up over and over again. Perhaps they're unable to sit still. In extreme cases, dogs will really stop or rest during the day, and they are generally seen as always on the move. They may be overexcitable or suddenly difficult to train or struggle to keep focus on a task. They may be barking far more than normal, or maybe starting to pester other dogs, people, or animals in the family. This can also show as seeking attention from you more, or what we can misread as constantly wanting attention to be given to them. They may be running around more often in the yard, or maybe they're insisting on play or interacting with you much more than normal. They can display digging behaviours when they've never done this before. They may escape a yard by jumping a fence. Your walks could now be at a pace where your dog is straining, pulling, panting, and they're showing that they have endless energy. Their normal walk just doesn't seem to lower that energy, and even after exercise, they can still display that they need more. These dogs are difficult to calm, and stopping their unwanted behaviour can prove tricky, as it tends to be misread as a need for more exercise, when in fact the opposite can be true. There is another video linked at the end which helps to calm dogs showing this. Destruction. Many people view this behaviour as naughty or even from boredom, but destructive behaviour can be shown by anxious dogs. They may have started to chew things they've never chewed before, such as skirting boards, walls, or doors. They may have started to destroy their bed, crate, or blanket. Perhaps they're now starting to dig more, even on surfaces that they've never done this on before, such as carpets, rugs, hard floors, beds, or couches. There may be a particular area they tend to focus on, and they can become obsessive at biting, chewing, or digging in that spot. In a yard, they may chew on fences, gates, trees, or insist on pulling out clumps of grass over and over again. They may be digging holes in a yard or even under a fence. These can all be signs of stress. They can be from boredom or a lack of enrichment too. With all of these signs of stress and anxiety, the good news is there will be body language changes which will be noticeable, and you can use those to decide if your dog is displaying their anxious or stress. There are also ways to help calm an overexcited dog. Reading a dog's body language can be tricky, and if you're struggling with reading it, then this next video is a great start. There's also one here about calming hyper dogs.